don't know, but there's no question that the seizure of Crimea is an aggressive and illegitimate act. And I think what you're seeing here is a tactic where, the history of Crimea and the relationship with Russia and Ukraine is a complicated one, in the sense that Crimea was part of Russia until Khrushchev gave it to Ukraine in the early 1950s. Basically didn't make any difference then. And so I think the Russians see this as taking back territory that belonged to them, or that's the way they'll portray it, territory where the population is significantly Russian, very pro-Russian. And I think Crimea has strategic importance for Russia because of the Soviet or the Russian naval base, and it's also their only warm water port. So no question it's an aggressive, illegitimate act. The question is whether anybody can do anything about it. I think he does not want to send troops into eastern Ukraine. I think that he would prefer to achieve his goals without that kind of blatant use of military force outside of Crimea, and frankly, I'd be surprised if he did do that.
Secretary Gates?
But I do not believe that Crimea will slip out of Russia's hands.
You think Crimea is gone?
I do.
You've defended President Obama's handling of the situation this week, but in January, you said you thought that President Obama made a big mistake when he set the red line for the use of chemical weapons in Syria. Here's what you warned. If you cock the pistol, you've got to be willing to fire it. By cocking the pistol, whether it's on the red line in Syria or giving asylum to Edward Snowden, other issues, you really, and then not firing it, you really don't think that President Obama has emboldened Putin at all?
Well, all I would say is what I was saying earlier in the week was simply that I thought in the middle of a major international crisis that some of the domestic criticism of the president ought to be toned down while he's trying to handle this crisis.